to the speaker series. Today I'll be talking about how I launched my own agency. First, this is to get a little bit more personal. This is a photo of myself in Bolivia, in the Bolivian volcanoes. I want to introduce this picture because I really enjoy being in vast spaces, and it gives me a big sense of freedom. So my name is Tran. I'm the creative and managing partner at Monarque, a communication and design agency helping organizations to reveal and to communicate its true essence, known as branding as well. I'm underlying helping because I believe that as an entrepreneur, you need to be able to help people, to be able to serve and bring value. I think when you be able to bring value, it's when clients become dependent on you and that you're not easily replaceable. A little story behind Monarque. Monarque, it's the butterfly, the orange and black one that you see on the screen. They migrate to Canada to Mexico every year, and it takes 4 generations to do the complete route back and forth. Therefore, there's no single butterfly that knows the complete route. How we translate it is that it's intuition and branding and design. Yes, you need marketing, you need communication plans, but you also need the intuition, the design intuition that makes your project spark. So what is branding to you? In this case, to me, a lot of people might confuse that logo represent a brand or a visual platform. However, to me, it's more than that. It's something more meaningful. It's the essence. It's the purpose and also the raison d'être. In school, when I was younger, I learned aesthetic. I learned about design process, how to create beautiful design. There's one thing that bothers me. Does my design is an interpretation of my seeing, or is there something more to that? I got curious and I decided to take more classes in communication and marketing class to learn more about branding. And I learned that branding, it's the essence, it's the purpose. And once you find that meaning, the reason why, it becomes much easier to create everything else from there, the logo, the platform. Maybe a little quick story on the evolution of the brand concept. As we know before, a brand, it's known as a logo. It's a marketing tool. It's built around a product or most often a service. The brand started to evolve and the marketers, communicators started to use the brand as a tool of seduction. So they transformed the brand according to different department, marketing team, HR team. It becomes an approach. But today, we see it as a purpose. The brand is a unifying concept, rich in meaning for everybody. It needs to have substance. In this chart, there's 3 different sections. We have the visions, the managers, usually the stakeholders, the owners, everybody that is managing the company. They often have a mission, a vision, values they want to project. Then we have the client side, which is the user, the customers. And most of the time, that section is managed by marketers. They want to position the company. They want to offer promises and key benefits to the audience. And sometimes we have the culture of the corporation, the business, or the organization. They want to create an employer brand or attract new employees. Maybe a little story. One time we received a call. They asked me, "Hey, Jean, can you help us create a branding for our company?" I was like, "Sure. What's your brief? What do you might need?" And they responded, "We need to have a positioning, a promise to target to our audience from the marketing team." And it's a technology company, so they wanted to portray that they're very serious, they well dressed when they meet clients, and they want to look very professional and tech savvy. So we started the process, and meanwhile, we received another call from the same company. And this time it was from the HR department and asked, how can I help you? They're like, we need a brand for our internal culture of the company. And they said they needed to have a brand book, an employer brand, so that they can attract new employees. And I was like, sure, what are you trying to communicate? And they say, we want to show them that we're very friendly, we're fun to work with, you can come to work the way you want to dress, in shorts and t-shirt, the best place to work. And we realized in that case that there's an absence of harmony, because the vision and the marketing image and the internal culture doesn't match together. So the way that we propose is to create a unifying and rich and meaning brand, where the vision, the image, and the culture all together represent one single brand. And once we solve this problem, it's much easier to design, because you only have to solve the communication channels or adapt to certain audience, but the main brand, the core message, it's always the same. So the story, the notes that we want to remember is define your personal brand. That will be my first advice if you want to create a company, is to know yourself, what you have to offer, what is your value, so that it's easier for you to sell it to others. Because you, like any corporation, you are unique and exceptional. And the only way is to reveal it, your true purpose, not to invent it. The reason why, because when you're not truthful, and that you offer a promise and your customer or the users is trying your service, and you do not deliver your promise, you break it. And when it's breaking, it's very difficult to gain back confidence. So revealing your true essence will enrich your presence and the impact in the world. To me, as an example, it gave me reason, it gave me purpose, and also how I can better help people. So when your identity and purpose are truthful and clear, it's easier for you to promote. It's also easier for the audience to understand and to connect. It's easier to pull together resources, ideas, and people for a common cause, because once you have your idea, it will be easier for you to express it, and will be easier for people to understand it, and the right people will connect to you. Then, after all this strategy, after you solve your why, then we can use the power of design to communicate directly and clearly. This is a project we've been doing for quite a while now already. I wanted to introduce it because it's a perfect example of a timeless design on a good branding for École de Design, UQAM, University of Quebec in Montreal. The image that you're seeing right now is custom capsules that we created on 2 different stores level of wall. That we can interchange letters, messages in the school. The biggest challenge on this project is that there is 3 different departments. We have fashion design, we have graphic design, and also environment design. It was a very complex task to be able to solve this one single branding that adapt to all 3. But we turn each rock, we look at different concept, we tried many things, and we found 3 tools. We found the needle for fashion design, the push pins for posters and graphic design, and the nail for environment design. All 3 tools has the same action of regrouping 2 elements together. And when you separate them, it becomes holes, perforations. Therefore, we create a new series of fonts, custom fonts to adapt to different usage. And also in our design, we always try to have some smart design, such as the little D in the handle bag. Those are little things that people remember. And at the end, the concept, the logo came by itself. Ed, I got the design in a circle. Everything just makes sense. I'll go over a few projects now, not in details, just to give you an oversense of view of what we're producing. This is for a real estate company. This is for a cultural organization, for a nonprofit organization, for a digital event in Montreal. They produce every year a big event regrouping virtual reality, digital art, music, performance art, everything that is related to digital arts. We've done some work for some museums, business to business companies, even in constructions. The fun part with this project is they are a masonry company, and we have the little trowel inside the A to represent the main tool they use. And to get a little bit more personal, especially because I mentioned about personal branding, this project is very, very personal to me, and I feel that it connects to my personal identity and branding. It's a project that I've been working with my wife. Our co-brand is that we love people, we love traveling, we love culture. Therefore, we start traveling and asking strangers to think about the person or something they love the most in the world. And here are the results. We gather over 300 different portraits of everybody closing their eyes, thinking about the beloved one, and it creates a interwoven culture of fabric of love. And we're trying to maybe create a book, a publication where we can bind love together. So I'm going to break the ice and start with 2-3 questions that I get the most. Why did you choose graphic design as your profession? One simple reason is that I always loved art. Since I was young, I always wanted to create art. It gave me immense sense of freedom of expression. But I soon realized that it was difficult to earn money by only creating art. So I started to do some research, and I found out about graphic design, that I can use art in a more commercial way. And graphic design, I'm very grateful because it really completely changed my life. It changed the way that I see things, that my lifestyle, and also the way I analyze environment and objects. Did you work for an agency? Yes, I did. I did try to work for someone, but I wasn't pleased to do the 9 to 5 schedule. I needed that sense of freedom to do what I want, when I want it, to spend more time with family, to rest when I need it. But also, I needed some kind of stimulation. My brain needs to learn new things all the time, and working for myself was be able to learn about a little bit accounting, marketing, sales, and all this keep my brain stimulated. And the third part is intuition. I really follow intuition, and my gut feeling never let me down so far. So how did you create Monarque? For one reason I just mentioned was for the freedom. It also came with a price, because starting a company, it's not easy, especially in the beginning. You need to probably work twice as hard, spending a lot of time, there's stress involved, but at the end, it's very rewarding. And the second fold is I want to help small businesses to find their own voice, because small businesses and organizations are sometimes difficult to find the budget, the needs, and also the skills to create a brand, which big corporations have the budget for. So we try to focus on that area. What are the skill sets you need to launch a design studio? Like I mentioned, learning, because you have to learn pretty much everything, especially if you don't have a partner. You need to know marketing, you need to go do some sales, you need to do accounting. You pretty much have and you involve in every task. And when you start growing, it's when you can start delegating. Second thing is, do not hesitate to ask questions or asking for help, because you'll be surprised at how many people would like to help you. And also the third, well, same thing, help others, because that's where it creates meaning, how you can serve people. And when you help people, even though in Monarque, when we started, sometimes we weren't paid much for some work, and we decided that we still wanted to help because that was our purpose. And at the end, some clients decided to stay with us for the whole time since the beginning of Monarque. So I believe that helping others will pay you back in some ways. How branding has been helpful to you personally? So to me, it helped me find purpose. I believe that living with purpose means living intentionally. You don't want to be living a template or like a zombie. And I believe that because a life without purpose, it's a life without destination. And or in order to have a focus, have a way to directions to go, you need that purpose. And revealing this true essence enriches our journey in the world. How branding has been helpful to you artistically? As you saw, I'm doing design, but also photography. And there's some nuances and difference between the two. When I do design, it's to help others. When I do create art, it's very for my own self. And when I solve my personal branding, it gave me an artistic statement. It was easy. I was able to understand what I'm creating and why I'm doing it. And also make my decision much faster. So the photos that you saw in black and white, we have color version, which is super beautiful. But we decided that it's not our brand because we want to stay to the essence. We want to stay true. And we didn't want colors to affect or create layers to see your project. I would like to end with 3 inspiring books. Built to Last from Jim Collin. It's a series of case studies, a very interesting one, how companies with meaningful and reason and purpose was able to last longer. Design Brand Identity by Alina Wheeler. It's a great book on A to Z, how to create a proper branding exercise. And Start with Why by Simon Sinek. It could be a great book for you to start asking questions about yourself and solving your brand identity. So I hope that my little presentation was somehow inspiring, and I'll be able to answer some questions for you now.
Great, thanks, John. That was really inspiring. There's one question that has come in.
Mm-hmm.
How has your personal brand evolved over the years?
Great question. To me, I think for some people, they really have an easy way to find out their reason. To me, it was very difficult. I'm a person that often overthink things, but being curious, I think it comes in phase. The more old you get, the older you get, the more experience. Some might change, but the core will always stay the same. So my core belief, my core branding, it's the same. It's just the way how you define it. But I do believe that it's a process as well.
Yeah, good point. I have one question, just in terms, you always speak about branding. How
Yes.
important is it to for your self promotion for awards? I know you were a Youngblood award winner back when you first started. Has it, do you continue to enter awards to help build your brand?
Yes and no. So because I believe that I have the tendency to think that contests sometimes only evaluate how beautiful your project is, and not the meaning of it. Therefore, it creates a conflict, just to me personally, that maybe we should start looking more the meaning and the reason and see the design, because a design could be not aesthetic but very communicative and that respect the brand. But I do now still, for photography, I do apply for contests because it's a great way to get yourself seen, and even with Apply Arts, the award that, or some awards I've been winning, it was great to start a career. So I do encourage people to get yourself seen and to get yourself out there.
Excellent. Thank you, John. We do have a
Thank you.
couple more questions. Um, One from Crystal. What do you wish someone told you before you started?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
What do you wish someone had told you before you started?
Um, that's a tough question. I'm not too sure, but I think if I can go back, one thing I'll do more when I was in college or university, it's to make contact, because your contacts, it's who the, especially in our industry, I feel that there's a lot of referrals, and that's how I started my business. It was friends and family. I get the word out there, and we got a one good client. The good client referred to another one, so it becomes a list of referrals. So I think the more contact that you have, the more people that you know, I think it will be much easier for you to start the business. Vicky, you're on mute.
Sorry? Yes, completely agree with that. It is definitely a small industry that comes out of referrals for sure. Another one, what advice do you have for creatives who want to progress as a business but more creative than business minded?
Mm, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the questions. Do you mean about a business that is more? How would you apply the creativity? Is it for social good? Is it for? I'm not too sure if I have to.
I think, I mean, if you're running your own creative business, I think you still need that business mind in order to get paid and
Yes. Well, I think, in my point of view, branding is business, because you need to please in a certain way a commercial need. Um, if you want to do something only creative, which is more artistic, that's why I think in my point of view, I try to separate both. I do something that's really creative for myself, that I don't have to please anybody. I don't have to please a end user, a customer. And when I come to my own projects, that's where I decide to do it for business, where I have that, and also that's why in design we try to not have a style, so that it's really adaptive to the customer. So I think, but I believe that, Monarch is it's a business minded oriented agency, but we're still creative. So I think there's a way to mix both. I'm not sure that it's either or, but if you want 100% creativity, then I'll more encourage to do something more personal.
Yeah, good point there. We have two more questions so far. So the second last one, do you utilize outside creatives for your projects and how do you search for them?
And Monarch, we were pretty lucky because all the people that I work with, we had some experience together. We went to school, went either college or university together. And in my case, I wasn't. Um, I never hesitated to ask for help with like people that are more professional than me. So older people that are more experienced because they bring something. I think you need a mix of more leadership, more older, younger to create a more um, diverse team. Um, and for others, I think again same thing. When I look for creative or I look for developers or any help, I first look at my circle, and I usually that's where I find the answers.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Our last one, and we're actually running out of time here. Could you speak to how you handled invoicing and payments when you first started? Did you invoice, for example, hourly or per project?
Um, we don't work per hour. Um, we don't believe that an hourly rate represent the values that we bring to a customer. So normally we prepare a proposal, a budget for the task. And usually it also comes much cheaper for the client because we at Monarch have the tendency to do extra work, overdo it. And if we calculate hourly rate, sometimes it can just explode. So I think for the customers, it just gave them a better sense of security to have a budget, and that it's my job to make sure to respect it. We do sometimes work hourly rate only when the scope of work has been exceeded, and that we need to have some kind of hourly rate to calculate. But most of the time, it's usually by the hour by project.
Okay. I'm just gonna we throw in one more question
Yes,
here,
of course.
a good one. What advice do you have for students in grade 12 about what they should focus on in post-secondary if they want to work in your field?
Um, I'm a branding guy, so I think the sooner do you learn more about yourself, uh, the easiest for you to create afterwards. And there's many ways to do it. You can do personality tests. You can read some book, the one that I showed earlier. And but I think in my um, in my process, the first thing that I learned to do is to create a good process methodology. A lot of the concepts that we come up with, it's not a flash of ideas. Sometimes it does, but a lot of time when when you don't have the idea, how do you get it? It's a process. You just do it. You sketch, you draw, you get inspiration. You have to do. The more that you do, you'll find inspiration from there, and you also find mistakes, that things that you shouldn't do. So I strongly believe in the process, and that's what I learned a lot in college, 3 years. And after that, in university, that's where I started to have this more intellectual, critical mindset where I question my work and why I do certain things. But again, some people are really good at just throwing concepts. They have a brief and they have the idea already, but I'm not that type of person, and it never worked out well for me. I need to express, I need to try things, and most of the time, concepts that we go with or the client decide to choose are the concepts that we never thought of that might work. The process can bring you some surprises.
Excellent. Some great advice. That um, we've reached our time. So we hope that everyone found this session informative and you've learned more about entrepreneurial skills and running your own design agency. We appreciate your time. And as you start the school application process or just looking to explore where your talents fit in the creative industry, be sure to visit creativefutures.ca. We have one more session scheduled for today at 3 o'clock, and it's in advertising focus. If you haven't already registered but wish to do so, you can do so at creativefutures.ca and just click on speaker series. Again, thank you, John, for your time. That was excellent.
Thank you very much for having me. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.